Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's a Who Versus. Welcome to Who Versus. This is episode fill in the blank. Probably over 1,000.
It's over 1,000.
Talking movies.
Yeah.
And how to improve
But
them.
Specifically, how to make them better.
How to make them better.
So the concept for this started was we had our big Oscar show that we do every year.
Huge.
Big Oscar show every
A lot of
year.
people
We
showed up. Red
Stars.
carpet.
Matt Damon was here. Steven Seagal was here.
The after party.
Katie Seagal was here.
Yeah. You remember the after party?
No, I don't.
No.
I don't
either.
Yeah.
That's how you know it was good.
So our idea, are we actually recording now?
Yep.
Yeah.
This is it? Sure. So our idea
Real life.
started with, you made a comment about how to fix Conclave, some garbage movie about some intersex priest.
Yeah, I said turn it into Olympus Has Fallen.
Right, turn it into
Bad
Olympus
Game
Has Fallen. So that was the idea for this. We're going to talk about some movies that we've never watched.
Mm-hmm. Never
and
would watch.
And never will watch, and how to make them better.
Okay.
Right?
Should I just get right into
Let's
it?
get into it.
So I just did a cursory search of what was in the theaters currently. First one I saw, Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy.
Okay. What's the background for Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy?
I forgot to do that part. But she's basically like an old woman.
Yeah. In her 40s.
In her, 50s maybe.
50s? Oh.
In real life, she's probably. I think she lives in England.
Yeah.
And she's got a bunch of kids. I don't think out of wedlock, but there's no father in the picture.
Of course.
And I think the synopsis was that she's torn between dating an old man, which is her age, or maybe a young kid that works at her school.
Like a child?
No, but a 20-something kid.
Okay.
That is a teacher at her kid's school. Anyway, it's pure Hollywood garbage. This is really the feminist ideal, right?
Yeah.
She's probably like a professional woman. She's probably rich. Anyway, the movie looks horrible. So you had an idea how to fix it.
I did. So, what is the...
Should we take a step back?
Yeah.
And talk about my theories of fixing movies?
Yes.
I think
Oh, yeah, this is actually what we should
So there's basically writers like Phil and I, creative types. There's 3 or 4 plot devices you could do to make anything better.
Right. Simple fix.
Simple fixes.
What's great about your ideas is these are small tweaks to a movie that are almost imperceptible to the viewer.
Right.
But it ultimately makes the bigger movie plot much better.
It makes it cleaner and more exciting. So here they are. Let's
Simple, small fixes.
Time travel.
Right.
Always put some method of time travel. Hot Tub Time Machine obviously comes to mind.
Right.
The DeLorean from Back to the Future, so incorporate time travel. Number 2, Face Off.
Face Off.
With Nicolas Cage.
Switching faces.
And you take the face off one character and put their face on, and then you take that face on someone else. Face Off.
How many movies have a face off type of
Not
plot?
nearly
It's
enough.
just one.
Not
And
nearly
it's one of
enough.
the greatest of all time.
Probably one of the best movies of
Yeah.
all time. The third concept, this one's a little out there, but stay with me. 3 Men and a Baby.
Yeah.
Just every movie should have Tom Selleck, Steve Guttenberg, and Ted Danson raising a random baby.
Yeah. That movie, did it make their careers?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ted Danson was on Cheers, obviously, but you think Ted Danson
Guttenberg
Cheers?
was in everything in the 80s.
He was kind of like that generation's Pedro Pascal.
I don't know that reference, but okay.
He's an actor. He's in everything.
Okay. I'm sure.
Okay, so
I guess maybe the 4th plot device is just to have a cybernetic organism.
Mm-hmm.
If you can combine 2 or more, you are winning. Terminator. Yeah. That's time travel, cybernetic organism, probably some face swapping.
Literally face swap.
There could be.
Because they take Schwarzenegger was the good robot in the second one, but he was the bad robot
in the
first one. So they kind of face swapped.
Yeah.
Okay, so the movie is
Bridget
called
Jones. What do we do?
Bridget Jones. It's called Mad About a Boy.
The Boy.
Mad About the Boy. So, as you said in this movie, she's torn between an appropriate age relationship and some
deviant behavior.
Here's what I think should happen. So that's the Hollywood lust,
feminist ideal.
fever
Third wave
dream,
feminism.
fever dream of what they want. Here's what I think would happen, and this movie would crush. It's still called Mad About a Boy.
The Boy.
Mad About the Boy. I won't get it right on
Crappy
purpose.
title.
That's a bad title. So, she's in England. She wants to get her personal life back on track. She meets a man who's sort of a gentleman farmer. Right?
Okay.
Everything is great about this guy. He's good looking. He's got some land. He's got a farm.
Full set of teeth.
Full set of teeth, which in England is sort of
Rare as hen's teeth.
Borrow
Borrow a phrase.
And There's one thing she doesn't like about him, is that he's sort of a not right-wing guy, but he's just a normal
guy. 30 years ago.
Right. He was the guy that existed like 5 minutes ago. And so she starts dating him, and she slowly finds out that this guy is sort of this gentleman farmer, but she's afraid to show him to her friends because they'll think, well, he's not one of us. He's not like in finance or in business.
He's not a man about town.
He's a simple guy. And so the whole plot is her slowly going into his world of the simple life, right? To work on his homestead that he has in the English countryside. And the movie progresses, and he brings her to his farm. And at first, it's the classic gags. She falls in the pig mud, and can't milk cows, and she gets the cow milk everywhere. She can't get eggs, and that's like
perfect. That's Bridget Jones.
That's the second act.
That's Bridget Jones.
But as the movie progresses, she gets more and more to his lifestyle of a simple life on a farm, and by the end of it, she becomes
sourdough.
She's making sourdough or whatever. She becomes what we call today a trad wife, which 20 years ago was called
a wife.
A wife.
Yeah, 5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago, it's called a wife. So there's this evolution of her, sort of being this like autonomous, woman, and now she
goes from
raising
girl boss who thinks she can have everything, and then she realizes that without a man to complete her family, she can't have everything. And she was actually miserable.
I'm telling you right now, that movie would make hundreds of millions of dollars.
I totally agree.
Because that's what not only women but also guys are looking for.
At what point do they switch faces? Like, you didn't incorporate any of my fixes. Is there any?
Okay, so the fixes.
Is there violence? Ultra gun violence in this? Gratuitous violence.
Okay, well, maybe there's a twist towards the end where there's always like an A plot and a B plot. The A plot is her trying to figure out, do I want to spend my life with this man? The B plot is that he has the perfect plot of land where they want to build a road through.
The A6 or whatever, England on there. All
and so there's some like land barons
that are trying
to take his property.
Right.
And let's just say this guy is ex-Special Forces.
SAS.
He's ex-SAS, but he's left that life behind, which is a great plot point for this guy.
So, backstory.
The last 20 minutes is basically the ending of the most recent Rambo movie,
the
right?
Tunnels.
He's got tunnels everywhere, and she gets involved in. So there's an assault on his farm because they want to. There's something in the deed that if the land is no longer inhabitable, that.
And this deed goes back to King George III.
All the way back, and it gets sold for auction, where he doesn't have the right of first refusal, and these land barons can outbid him because he's just a simple farmer.
And they can put in a petrol station.
Right?
A petrol
Well, they're going to have to because there's a road.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a great point. So there's a B plot, and it's this. So we start with she doesn't know what she wants. Mid-movie, she's
all in on track.
She's getting
jarring and canning, making sourdough. She has a starter.
The whole thing. And then it ends with him opening up his lockbox, and it's got all of his Special Forces stuff. And he says, this is our land. And they're not going to take it from us. And so at the end, it's
by Cromwell, this is our land. Is that a good British accent?
Yeah.
That goes to Cromwell.
Yeah.
I'll get ya.
So that's how this ends. It's basically a huge shootout.
Duh.
And Bridget Jones is sort of like, here's the best part, is he gets into a pinch because he's trying to protect her from the fighting. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, he's backed up against a wall. You'll think he's lost. What you don't see off screen is that she's now manned a 50 cal, and she tears these guys to shreds.
Yeah. What's her closing line? Behind every good man, there's a good woman.
That's it. That's the line.
I don't think she would have that voice. Behind every good man, there's a good woman.
That's the line.
On Gobsmack, the horrible teeth at that.
And then they grab hands, they hold hands in the sunset, and then the last scene is him just pulling out a engagement
ring.
A ring.
Makes an honest woman out of it.
Makes an honest woman out of it.
I would see that.
This movie.
I would
see that.
I'd take the wife. I'd say, I would take my wife.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Not yours. You looked at me like I said yours. And say, like, honey, let's get a 50 cal. Let's invest. Let's invest in our future.
In our future.
With a 50 cal, a Browning M2.
I think that movie in place. Every audience loves it.
Cannes Film Festival, love it.
They'll standing ovation.
6 apples.
Sundance?
What do they give there?
I don't know.
Isn't it like golden apples? Or
I assume it's 6 adrenochromes or whatever it is they score movies with.
Right. Done.
Jack, fixed it.
Fix Bridget Jones.
All right.
All
All right. What's right next?
Conclave.
Conclave.
How
Okay.
do we actually fix Conclave? All right, audience, it doesn't look like we prepare for this show, but don't be fooled. We did.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and you had rewrites. You had edits. Some
major edits.
And I told you, you can't do that. That's way too much. That's way too elaborate. So let's give us the executive summary
of the movie or the
your
rewrite? Okay, so here's the executive summary of the rewrite. It's still got Tucci, Lithgow, and who's the third guy?
I don't know.
Anyway, there's 3 main priests.
Ewan McGregor.
That'd be cool.
Jack Nicholson.
That'd be even better. So there's the 3.
C. Riley.
John, I thought you would say John Cena.
John Cena, but speaking Chinese. He's a Chinese priest from the Szechuan.
We've seen him speak Mandarin, so we know you can do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the rewrite. Is the Pope dies. All the priests are coming in. All the cardinals are coming in from around the world to elect a new pope. The Pope, the cardinal from, let's call it China, is killed. John C. Riley. It's one of those switches where you think a major star's in the whole movie, but he's not. It's a little cameo.
Okay.
He gets killed by
And is he the odds-on favorite to
no,
be the Pope?
No, he's just a guy. He's just a guy. He gets killed by a North Korean terrorist.
Sure.
Right?
There's lots of
who takes his vestment and pretends to be him or to be a cardinal.
Okay.
He flies in to Rome.
He's undercover as a fake
He's
cardinal.
undercover as a fake cardinal.
Dude.
Okay, so he's in there. He's in the big conclave room with all the other cardinals. They're about to start, but John Lithgow and Stanley Tucci and the other guy are all ex-Delta Force from the U.S., obviously, right?
So there's 3 American cardinals.
3 American cardinals there. Yep. But before the big conclave begins, they're out on the top of the Vatican talking about ripping heaters, right? Talking about their life, talking about the changes they've made to put down their weapons and live holy lives. While they're up there ripping heaters, the North Korean terrorists had also contracted with African warlords to kill the entire college of cardinals.
Everybody.
Take
them all.
So they start taking
Did
them
he
out.
clack off a vest?
Not yet. Well, maybe there's a couple. Should there be a couple suicide
I
guys?
think there should be. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Like
okay,
9 or 10.
So one of the a couple of the warlords clack off some vests. So now there's chaos. So while our cardinals, our ex-special forces guys are up on the roof, they hear all this. They know something's wrong. They do a little sneak and peek. They see
because 9 to 10 suicide vests were detonated. So
Right.
they know. They're pros and they know.
They've sniffed
That's
this
not normal in a conclave. Like that's not how they make the smoke.
instead
The white smoke.
of white smoke. We picked a new pope. Okay,
Pink mist
Right.
sprays everywhere.
so they see what's going on. They're like, okay, we gotta save the church.
Okay.
Right? So what they do, classic, they go to their rooms, they open up their box. All my movies have you open up a box.
It's like a Foot Locker.
It's a Foot Locker with all your weapons. And they put all of their gear on. But here's the best part. They have their gear and their rifles, but they're still wearing their robes.
So it's over the vestments.
Over the vestments.
And they're tacked out.
Right. And they're just going through the Vatican, and they're just smoking North Korean terrorists and African warlords.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like White House Down.
Yeah.
But it's got Tucci and John Lithgow and the other guy in there as well. And so they fight through this army of bad guys. And the last scene, I hope this is brief enough for you. The last scene, Stanley Tucci's been shot. So he's down. And it's just Lithgow and the lead North Korean terrorist. And he's got who we think is going to be the odds-on favorite to be the next pope. Mm-hmm. And he's got him like gun to his head. And Lithgow ain't playing around. Before the North Korean terrorist knows what's up, pops him in the head.
Okay.
Kills him.
Sweet. Great
Kills
job.
him, right? So
hostage is saved.
Hostage is saved. There's enough cardinals to have the vote. So cut to, they're back in the conclave. They're about to do the final vote. You don't see who wins. Then you see white smoke coming out of the Vatican.
Okay.
We've selected a new pope. You don't see who it is. There's just the back of the guy's head. And they're putting the vestment on. I don't know if you know this, but the Pope has these special red shoes, right? Yeah. They do the whole deal. It's still the back of the head.
You can't get to Oz without them.
Right, exactly. And then there's a sea of people waiting to see who the new Pope is. He walks out slowly. Camera turns. It's Mel Gibson.
Oh boy.
Right?
Oh boy.
Mel
I got
Gibson
chills.
is the Pope.
I
got chills too. And then,
Would watch it.
It kind of sets up maybe for a sequel.
A sequel.
In a way, like, then Gibson in let's say a credit scene, kind of like Avengers. Credit scene, he's talking to the three guys. Lithgow, Tucci, and the other guy.
Tucci survived.
He definitely survived.
Okay.
Tucci's not dying.
No.
He's not dying. So he's having a private meeting with those three. And he's like, there's more evil in this world. And you guys got to take care of it. So what we're doing is we're setting up a series of these SX Delta guys, maybe going around the world,
Yeah.
Taking care of business.
I have notes on this.
You have
First of all, that's actually...
You have rewrites to my rewrite.
I'm going to do a couple rewrites. 2, you conspicuously absent was the Swiss Guard. So we need some pikemen.
Yeah.
Swiss Guard. 2, when... Who is it? Liam Neeson? John Lithgow.
John Lithgow.
Before he pops the Korean terrorist, he should go, "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned."
But you're right. We do need to...
You missed my paradigm
right.
of 3 Men and a Baby, Face Off, and Hot Tub Time Machine. So, problematic. But...
is there any way we could... Maybe Ted Danson is one of the Cardinals?
Okay. I think he's in the conversation.
You ready for this? Maybe there's a C plot where Danson,
Tom
Selleck, and Steve Guttenberg, they are Cardinals in... they play South American Cardinals. Right? And their big mission is...
a C plot we're talking
There's a C plot. Their big mission is foster children. Right?
Okay.
Right? There's foster
So
children.
they raise a baby.
Right. They're raising the kids.
All right.
But they
You've
brought
checked every
somebody...
box.
I've checked them all.
I was going to say Ted Danson could play bartender and bar owner Sam Malone. He sells the bar, doesn't marry Kirstie Alley, and becomes a man of the cloth. And is a cardinal now.
So his name is...
Sam Malone. Bishop Cardinal Sam Malone from Boston.
So the Cheers universe
Archdiocese
exists in the Conclave universe.
And then we could bring in Fraser Crane.
Yeah. What's Fraser?
I don't know. A psychiatrist that helps popes deal with their killing. I don't know. Maybe he helps the ex-Delta Force guy. I don't know.
Maybe he gives them the missions.
Could be.
Could be. All right.
Fixed. Cross that off. I don't know how we're doing on time. The Shape of Water.
Oh, this is a disaster.
This is a weird one.
This movie is a disaster.
This one,
Never seen it.
An Academy Award for Best Picture.
Of course it did.
I asked Google to give me the synopsis, and it's so bizarre. I don't even... Basically, a lady falls in love with a fish person. Mm-hmm. I'm not joking. That's literally the plot. She falls in love with an amphibious humanoid, I think.
Who was found in the waters of South America. South America.
Oh, they found him in South America. They transported him to a secret government lab in Baltimore. And I think they pulled him out of the Anacostia River or something.
Yeah.
Weird. Right? Like Patapsco.
So he's in a lab in Baltimore.
She breaks out. They fall in love. She saves this fish guy. We just make that entire movie. This is how we fix it. Keep it as is. Make the entire movie an origin story for Kevin Costner in Waterworld. Because remember, Kevin Costner has gills?
Yeah.
I'm like, why does this human have gills? Well, they procreate. That's a bad idea.
No.
What's the next one?
No. That's a great origin story. So he's the child of the woman and the fish person.
The fish guy.
Okay?
Yeah.
So what happens? They fall in love. They escape from...
Okay. They procreate.
They
have this baby with gills.
Right. Do you think maybe he misses the waters?
The FBI and the HHS, or the NIH,
okay,
get like, hey, this guy's an experimental. We're making a bioweapon out of this fish humanoid, and he's like, come with me into the waters. We'll go into the waters. Well, he takes his wife and his newborn baby underwater. She dies without him within a minute because she is not a fish person. She has no gills.
They had never thought about the fact that she can't breathe underwater.
She cannot breathe underwater.
They thought love would carry them through.
They thought love would accomplish all things, and it can't.
It doesn't conquer all.
You can't breathe underwater, no matter how much you love. And so, just the hybrid fish child and the father, the fish humanoid, amphibian humanoid, survive underwater and create a kingdom.
Right.
And the son ends up above water on the land. Nuclear apocalypse. just like we know is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know that. And everything gets destroyed. That boy grows up to be Kevin Costner's character in Waterworld.
I think that's a great rewrite.
That's how it should have been.
That's
a
how it
great
should have been.
rewrite. Okay, next up. Green Book.
This one was a tough one for us.
Well, it was a reverse
There's a lot
driving
of-
Miss Daisy.
It is. There's a lot of racial stuff in that movie.
I know.
We're not accomplished enough to handle it. Should we try, though?
Let's go in. I just said make it like the movie Collateral, where Jamie
Yes.
Foxx is driving a hitman around. He's a taxi cab driver, and he's driving a hitman around.
Yeah.
And doing all these hits. I never saw the movie, but
I didn't see it either.
And so turn Green Book into that. This guy is driving this.
He's a pianist, you
He's
said,
a
right?
pianist, like a concert pianist, and he's doing a tour of the South. And this is Jim Crow era South, right? So he's facing hostility or whatever. But that's just his cover. He's actually taking guys out.
Who's he taking out?
I don't know, bad guys.
Bad guys?
But on behalf of whom? We don't
The
know.
president.
I'll see you in part 2.
Is he taking people out on behalf of the president?
Maybe.
Who was the president during this era?
62, JFK.
Okay. Maybe he's taking mob guys out because JFK was kind of mixing
Yeah.
with the mob a little bit.
Okay.
So this is him sort of flexing on the mob that you don't control me anymore.
So RFK and JFK send him.
Right.
RFK is like, I wish I could do a Kennedy impression. I'm not going to try. But
Yeah.
it's like, I can't get it done in the courtroom. I need you, Mr. Pianist, a special project. And I'll have this guy, played by Viggo Morgenstein from Lord of the Rings. He'll be your driver. And it turns out he's also a hitman.
Right. But who does Viggo Mortensen become later in life?
Aragorn, son of Arathorn.
In the other universe, his name, which is never said in the movie, is G. Gordon Liddy. He then goes to work for Nixon,
So these...
strangling people
Yes.
with piano wire
Rob
on behalf of
wires.
the president.
Okay, so the driver, Viggo Morgenstein, is actually G. Gordon. Deep
But it's
cover.
It's his training.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That should be the story.
And then the sequel is sort of a
Watergate?
better version of Watergate.
yeah. Yeah, where G. Gordon and the pianist are taking people out.
Yeah.
I like that. That could play.
These movies would make money.
Oliver
That's the thing.
Stone would make that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
I don't know. I think we're onto something.
I think we're doing great.
Mad About the Void. Terrible name. I don't know. Do you want to do any others? I wrote some things down that doesn't really make
I think
sense.
we have to. This is going to be a 5-minute podcast.
It's been 30 minutes already. Nomadland, I don't know what that is. Coda, I don't know what that is. Oh, man, to want to preview your real Forrest Gump idea.
Oh, yeah.
Do that. Real fun.
Well, we got to both do that because this is like a
collaborative.
This is collaborative. So, I've told you my theory about Forrest Gump. I used to love this movie when I was in my, I guess it came out when it was in my early teens, and I loved it for like a decade.
Great soundtrack.
Great
A
soundtrack.
little Vietnam part, school.
All the action scenes, to the extent there are action scenes, they're filmed wonderfully. The whole movie is great. I love the switching back and forth and how they do that. But you go back and you look at it, and it's essentially a love letter to the boomers, right? Because he's born post-war.
Inarguably the worst generation in American
Without
history.
question. Without question. The only generation who might be worse is their parents, only because they raised the boomers.
Yeah.
Right?
You almost like have to hold them accountable.
So the movie is essentially following the life of a baby boomer from simple days of the 50s to the 60s and the hippies and the 70s and whatever that was. And then it kind of ends in the mid to late 80s, I think,
yeah,
is
something
where
like that.
Forrest Gump
AIDS
ends.
epidemic.
AIDS epidemic. Exactly, because Jenny
Contracted it.
contracted AIDS and
Needle drug.
selfishly then,
Yes.
right,
Yeah.
with Forrest.
Mm.
So,
That was selfish. That was wrong.
yeah. So this is our view of how to fix Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump, yeah.
Is cataloging all of the ways in which boomers screwed up the last 50 years.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, what would some of the things be? Like, all the terrible events that happened.
The free love
The
generation.
free love generation, sort of...
Pill. All
Pill?
that stuff.
and he's in all these... he is somehow directly involved in all of this, but
Okay.
it's the other side of the coin explaining why they're
Exposing how they're completely morally
Right.
bankrupt and
Right.
greedy.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's have some examples. let's see here. We had a great idea about this yesterday, right? He was in Vietnam, but rather the... Oh, I know. Right. So in Vietnam, in Forrest Gump, he drags Bubba and his friends and gets a Medal of Honor, right? In our, which we're calling real Forrest Gump, instead of being the hero that saves a bunch of people, he literally leads and commits the My Lai massacre, right? And gets away with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's his idea.
It is his. He gets a battlefield promotion, and then he leads the My Lai massacre.
into that hamlet or village.
Yeah.
He's like, "These people is Viet Cong,"
Right.
And they just
But they're clearly just women and
massacre.
children.
Right.
But he's
Okay.
can I say the R word?
no.
Well, he's that,
Yeah.
and he doesn't understand that these are just women and children, and he can't do that.
So he commits the My Lai massacre.
It's the My Lai massacre.
He comes back. Doesn't he in the real Forrest Gump? This is how morally bankrupt and self-congratulatory Hollywood is. He's staying at the Watergate Hotel and calls the police. He's like, someone's breaking into the office. That's the Watergate. Like
Yeah.
he saved the country.
Right.
When in reality, that probably was the last.
Where in reality, Nixon was like the most popularly elected president ever.
Ever.
What did he lose? One state?
Yeah, Minnesota.
Minnesota, something like that?
And then from there on out, the country's just the deep state won. That
Yeah.
was their victory.
That was the victory.
They killed Kennedy. They had LBJ. They got their Great Society, and then America snapped back and was like,
What?
most okay. What
What if? So basically, the premise of Forrest Gump is he just stumbles from one thing to
Yeah.
another, changing the course of history. That's his shtick.
Yeah.
Right. So what if he is for some reason he is in the book depository when Kennedy gets shot, and actually the guy in the book depository was a counter sniper there to save Kennedy.
But he bumps into
But he
him.
bumps into him and shoots Kennedy because he says, "Oh my gosh, somebody from the grassy knoll is about to kill the
There's
president."
someone with a rifle.
Right.
And then he bumps
So he
into
runs-
Oswald as the counter sniper.
And he bumps Oswald's rifle
Yep.
to kill the president.
That's what
That's
happens.
That's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect. Okay, so he does that. So My Lai, so killing Kennedy accidentally, My Lai massacre, comes back.
So where are we now? The disco era?
Or the disco era.
So he's responsible for cocaine, probably, or needle drugs, or
Well-
bad music.
Well, what if he's about to leave? Let's listen to this. He's gonna leave Vietnam. It's kind of hot for him right now because he's committed an atrocious war crime.
Disgusting.
And a couple guys who have been in Vietnam for too long, they ask him out to lunch. He meets this. He doesn't know he's a drug lord in Vietnam. He says,
starts trafficking.
Forrest, would you mind bringing some of these things back to the States?
Bring it back to Bubba's community.
It's just some toys for my family. Bring it to Bubba's community.
Right? And this is how the CIA brought cocaine into black communities.
Through Forrest Gump
To Forrest
and his boat company, Bubba Gump Shrimp.
Bubblegum Shrimp.
Bubba Gump Shrimp isn't a shrimp company. It is an
CIA
international.
front for Ollie North.
It is an international drug trafficking ring, and he doesn't even know what's happening.
Yeah, he thinks he's out there catching
Yeah.
shrimp.
His second mate is Ollie North.
And he keeps pulling in all these big packages. He's like, that's weird.
Yeah,
Give that to Bubba's family.
Yeah,
Yep. Ollie North's involved somehow. He's in there. Okay.
I love this version of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot. Like, he's got to cause a housing bubble somehow. Subprime mortgages. Like, he's got to do that. And I think the way it ends is he's on Medicaid end-of-life care.
Yeah.
And just refuses to die. And the taxpayers spend millions of dollars a day just to keep him alive in a home.
Yeah.
And just refuses to transfer his wealth
Paid
to the
into
next
it.
generation. He buys up every single house in
Yeah.
America with cash.
Yeah.
So,
For
young families can't compete.
For like $150,000.
Yeah, just-
and he becomes an accidental land baron.
He becomes the CEO, not just of Bubblegum Shrimp, but BlackRock.
BlackRock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then his end-of-life care bankrupts Medicaid and Medicare.
In this universe, BlackRock doesn't exist. What exists in its place is a multinational corporation
Gump
called Gump what?
Gump Rock.
Gump Rock. Yes.
Yep.
And he's just like an accidental CEO. This is perfect. This is actually what the boomers did.
Yeah.
They didn't make things better. This is him stumbling from one national tragedy to another.
Yes.
Kevin Costner?
Did Kevin Costner have gills in the JFK one and Field of Dreams?
I think it's safe to assume.
That he had gills.
Yeah. I assume an actor is every person he's ever played in every movie. They're all part of the same universe.
Like, if I ever see a celebrity in person, I'm going to, I think I can do this, instant recall their worst most embarrassing role, and then only refer to them as that role.
Yeah.
Like, I can't think of an example right now, but like, find a guy like Ben Affleck and just make a bunch of Geely references. You know?
Well, J-Lo kind of screwed him up. Do you remember about 15 years
Twice.
ago? Vin Diesel did a movie where he was a lawyer.
Chronicles of Riddick. Oh no, he's like a fat lawyer.
He's like a fat lawyer. He's got a
He
on.
switched faces in that. There was a face-off.
There was a face-off?
He switched. I don't.
Well, I mean,
That's
so
just wishful thinking.
I bring up that Vin Diesel movie and just the worst movies ever because I think we're about to see that with The Rock.
What's he doing?
The Rock is doing a
serious
movie.
role?
Yes.
How? He's too big.
Well, no, it makes perfect sense in a way because he's going to be a UFC fighter.
Ooh,
but
that's a stretch.
But the UFC fighter, just the way he's playing, he's trying to act.
Yeah.
He's not an actor. So I think this is going to be, unless I'm way wrong, this is going to be his biggest flop ever. Because he's being asked to be in character as opposed to just being, he's the Rock in every movie.
It's just
But he's being asked to act.
He's Maui.
And show emotion.
Yeah, he can't do that.
Can't do that.
It's like, yeah. I hate quoting Family Guy stuff, but they have the Family Guy bit of Sylvester Stallone crying. It's so funny. It's so funny. But I hate bringing it up because it's all gags. That's all Family Guy. It's not clever writing. It's just all the stuff in front of the stuff is like a family with an alien or a fish or a talking dog, and then just gags and 80s references.
Yeah.
And you know what? Let's be self-critical. That's all we've got to.
That's
all that you and I have.
Look, he's obviously made $1 bajillion. Yeah. People like his
He's
stuff.
got a great voice.
But he's kind of, he's like All in the Family, but then they add some quirky thing to it.
Yeah,
like it's the perfect family and then a talking fish.
Or a talking dog.
Yeah.
Or an alien. In American Dad, I think there's a talking fish
Talking
and
bear.
an alien.
Yeah.
And talking bear and Ted.
Yeah.
He's one note.
Yeah.
Man.
Do you know he was, I don't know if we can talk about 9/11,
No.
but he was going to be on a flight on 9/11 that crashed. He overslept.
Man, it was a tragedy.
9/11 was a tragedy.
It's as good a place as any.
We're done?
I don't want to talk to you anymore. You didn't incorporate any of my paradigms, any of my plot devices of time travel, switching faces, human faces, 3 Men and a Baby, or incorporating cybernetic organisms.
So 3 Men and a Baby,
Yeah.
switching faces, and time travel.
Or just another plot device is make every single movie an origin story. Or like a prequel.
Well, we kind of did that with
that.
Shape of Water.
We did that with Shape of Water, but and Green Book.
In Green Book.
In fact, you could cross-pollinate Forrest Gump with Green Book. They overlap.
Yeah.
See Gordon Liddy in this Forrest Gump character?
Who is the assassin in Green Book supposed to be killing?
Those just bad dudes.
Just bad. The mafia guys.
Mafia guys and communists.
Obviously.
There's a crossover. There's crossover potential.
I think so.
I don't know much about business, but I know synergy is involved.
I think the one movie that hits most of your notes is Terminator. Because it's time travel, it's AI, and it's switching faces. All you need is a cameo of
John C. Reilly.
of Ted Danson in
Ted Danson and
taking
Tom
Travis
Selleck. Yeah. We could do that.
Yeah.
Hot Tub Time Machine.
I think we're done.
Probably not our best work.
Are you kidding me? I think this is our best episode yet. I think this is the best one we've done.
We'll take it to the fans.
All right.
We'll let them decide. Like and comment. Don't forget to hit the bell to subscribe. I don't know. That's a YouTube thing.
Yeah, it's a YouTube thing.
Pump your analytics.
If we have a question for the audience, what would it be? To comment.
Well, how's Phil's hair? Basically.
Of all the
Do you like movies?
Of all the movies we've mentioned, which movie would be easiest to integrate AI, face switching, time travel, and
3 Men and a Baby?
3 Men and a Baby. Which one?
Do that, and which one would you most like to see?
And
what you described, real Forrest Gump, is clearly the best. Bridget Jones, mad about the boy, that would be sweet. Shape of Water as a Waterworld prequel, maybe. Not that great. Green Book sounds awesome. Because it's just Collateral.
Yeah.
A historical version of Collateral.
Yeah.
Where you reverse driving Miss Daisy, which is, it's time.
Yeah.
Nomadland. I didn't even look this one up. I just called it Fargo 2. I think we're out with ya.
Yep.
If I put it that way.
All right.